Today's daf is daf Chaf Aleph, and after wishing you a Shavua Tov, Ularifas ha'egla. So the Mishnah has Rifas ha'egla on the list of those rituals, mitzvos that have to be fulfilled during the day. Amri debei Rabbi Yanai, Mashazmana b'yom. Why is it by day? What do we learn this from? How do we derive it? Kapara ksivbei Kodshin. The Torah says in Egla Rufa, Dvarim Perkaf Aleph, Kaper li Amcha Yisrael. And therefore gives the status of Egla Rufa like a quasi-Kodshin, because Kapara indicates Kodshin. Whenever we talk about Karbonos, the Torah always repeats the word Kapara. And therefore, we're going to assume that there's an equation here between Egla Rufa and Kodshin. And just like in Kodshim, we learned that Kodshim is Dafka Bayom. That was the Gemara that we learned yesterday on Daf Chaf on the base. So Arifa Sa'egla requires day. Then the Mishnah lists Ulitaras Hamatorah. That also requires day. B'dichsiv, and this we derive from a pasuk in Vayikra Yudalid. In the parasha of Taras Hamatorah, it says, Zos tia Taras Hamatorah B'yom Torah. So let's emphasize the word Biyom, and from that word Biyom, we derive the conclusion that Taras HaMitzorah requires Yom. The Mishnah says, Kol halayla kosher l'ktziras ha'omer, etc. And the Gemara is now going to explain the source from which we derive that ktziras ha'omer is balayla. The Omar Mar, this is based on a Gemara in Menachos Daf Samach Vav, that's the main sugya of Omer. And there we derive from the pasuk Tzira Usfira Balayla Vava Biyom. From various limudim, we derive that the Omer is divided up into two categories. One category includes Tzira, which means cutting off the barley for the purpose of Minchas Omer, and the other is the Sfiras Omer, that we begin counting 50 days. And both of these are Balayla. On the other hand, we have Havas HaOmer. Minchas Omer is brought by day, as it says in Vayikra Chav Gimel, Parshas Emor, it says, B'yom haviachemes Omer atufa, and we emphasize again the word Yom, that requires Yom. But with regard to Sfiras Omer, it says, Me'achel charmesh bakama, techel lispar shiva shvuos. And the implication is that we count the Sfiras Omer after the Tziras Omer, before the Avos Omer. And with regard to Sfiras Omer, it says, and to guarantee that the Shavuos will be Tmimos, we have to begin and count at night. And since the Ktsira has to take place before the Sfira, we derive that even the Ktsira is Mana Balayla. This is all the Sugya in Masechet Menachos. The Mishnah continues, Kol halayla kosher lehekter chalavim ve'evarim. This refers primarily to the carbon olah. To Ksiv, it says Vayikra Vav, He ha'olah al-mukda al-mizbeach kol halayla ad haboker. Kol halayla implies the entire night, and that's for the evarim of the olah that will be burnt on the marach on the mizbeach. But from this we derive all evarim of all karbanos that we can be makriv and be soref on the marach of the emurim of all karbanos during the course of the entire night. And that's the first sugya in Shas at the beginning of Me'emasai Koran Shema B'Arav. The Mishnah continues, Zeh HaKlal, Davar shemitzvosav hayom, kosher kol hayom. That which requires day, the entire day is included. Zeh HaKlal Asuyei Mai. We have a universal principle that whenever Rebbe ends a Mishnah with Zeh HaKlal, he's coming to include something that goes beyond the list that came before Zeh HaKlal. Lasuye, what is it coming to include here in our case with regard to Davar shemitzvosav hayom? It's referring to Sidur Bazichin V'siluk HaBazichin. Okay, now this is going to be a major machlokas tanoim about the time for Sidur Bazichin and Siluk Bazichin. First, let's say a few words about what this is about. We're talking about Lavona, which is translated loosely in English as frankincense, and it has to be placed on the Shulchan Aponim. The Lechem Aponim is placed 6 on one side of the Shulchan, in a vertical row, and 6 on the other side of the shulchan. Those are 2 marachos of lechem aponim. On top of each one of these 2 marachos, they would place a bazich. Bazich or bezech is a kaf, a spoon full of levona. And every Shabbos, when they took the lechem off the shulchan, they would also take the bazichin, and the levona that was in these spoons would be burnt on the mizbeach. The lechem would be eaten by the kohen. And after removing the siluk bazichin, removing the bazichin of the levona, which was burnt again on the mizbeach, maktirin es levona, afterwards they would replace it with new levona, just like they replaced the lechem with new lechem. So that the siluk of bazichin, which means that we took the old bazichin off in order to be maktir the levona, and then we have also hanochas habazichin, which is called seder habazichin, in which we replace the old last week's bazichin with a new set of 2 bazichin that would be on top of the 2 marachos of the lechem aponim as they replace the old lechem with the new lechem. And the entire day, says our Mishnah, is suited and suitable for both siluk bazichin and seder bazichin, which means that during the course of the day on Shabbos, there was no bazichin. Uke Rabbi Yossi, that reflects the unique sheet of Rabbi Yossi. The sign we learned to the Brisa, Rabbi Yossi Omer Silek Esa Yitshana Shachris. He could have taken off the old last week's levona that was on top of the shulchan in the morning, on Shabbos in the morning, and V'seder Es HaChadasha Arvis. Arvis here in this context means Achret Tzarayim in the afternoon, and they would replace last week's levona with this week's new levona on the shulchan in the afternoon of Shabbos, which means that during the course of the day, there was nothing on the shulchan as far as the lechem is concerned, or as far as the bazichin with the levona is concerned. They were removed from the mizbeach, and there's no